Hello and welcome back to a show where we play the most dangerous game. It's called Let's Talk About 1D&D, the game show where I tell you the changes in 1D&D and if I like them or hate them. Then in the comments below, you tell me whether you like them or hate them. Now I want a fair game, no name calling or talking about my twink status. Now on with the video. Today we are going to be talking about the changes in the Ranger class, as well as the good and the bad. So the Rangers got a huge buff in the changes in abilities. The core class features have been reworked to an extent. You'll probably recognize some of them. Like the first feature, the favorite enemy has changed. You used to have to select pre-existing, like I would say, types of monsters, dragons, undead, stuff like that. This new one just gives you the Hunter's Mark as a prepared spell, which means you do have to spend a spell slot, but it's no longer a concentration. I don't know if that's going to stick with just the ranger or the spell is no longer concentration. I would assume the former instead of the latter. It's a great buff for the ranger's versatility, allowing the rangers to just target any type of enemy with their extra damage from Hunter's Mark. It's just a better change in general from like pre-selecting monsters from the previous favorite enemy feature, which was just very situational. And, you know, a long-term campaign is going to be having multiple different monsters in it, and a shorter campaign will have just those monsters in it. So it's kind of weird to have it. Allows Rangers to be versatile again. The next change is the spellcasting feature. Like clerics, for Rangers, spells are not interchangeable during long rests, as long as you choose from the primal spell list, which is one of the 3 new spell lists kind of in D&D. They're like above categories of like other spell lists. It's you'll have to look at other videos. Sorry, I don't have a video on it yet, but you should really look at it. I think the new 3 types of spells, Primal, Arcane, and Divine, is going to be a really useful feature in the future for a lot of classes. The funny thing about this new spell list and all that stuff is I actually used to use that when I first did D&D, the whole all spells are interchangeable during long rest. It just made it easier and simpler to follow. So I think that's why they did it, because they're streamlining it, which is very actually good in my opinion. It can be more confusing for newer players though, so I will tell you as a DM, you're going to be having players even more confused of choosing spell list every long rest, but also, you know, just have fun with it. It's just a great thing to add in the long term. They did get rid of the Natural Explorer, which is, you know, choose your favorite terrain kind of shit. Actually cut that out, I can't cuss. They did get rid of the Natural Explorer, but are using the optional features they got in, I think, Tasha's, I don't really know the books that well, for level 7s and 11s that are upcoming next. So there's nothing here. I just want to say they got rid of Natural Explorer, which I think is actually a bad thing. Rangers still need to stand out and be unique in a way, and Natural Explorer kind of helped them with that. The level 7 feature, you'll probably recognize this from the, I think, again, the optional features. The roving feature changes your speed by giving you a flat plus 10 to it while not wearing heavy armor, but also gives you climbing speed and swimming speed equal to your normal speed, allowing you to just run around everywhere and just climb things, swim. You're just like a ranger in a way. It's pretty cool. Level 11 gives you the tireless feature, which during a long or short rest, when you finish, you gain temporary HPs equals to 1d8 plus proficiency. Also, that's not the only thing, if you are exhausted when finishing a short rest, you decrease your exhaustion by 1 level. It's very useful, I'd say. I'm actually expecting this feature to stay compared to the other ones, which I think are going to be changed a little bit, as I think a lot of creatures in the new 1D&D will be giving exhaustion on failing saving throws or when they hit you in an attack or something. Because if you didn't know, the exhaustion feature, at least what they put in this one, I think, it goes up to 10 now, and for each level you minus that level you have to your rolls. So if you have exhaustion 5 and you roll a 20 for an arcane ability check, you will be minus 5 to that roll, and now you only rolled 15. You know, it's basically something I think they brought over from Pathfinder that's actually really good and streamlines the exhaustion system, because people kind of forgot what the fuck that was and it never really came up in play. The next feature they changed, which honestly, I don't know how to feel about this. This feature was pretty much useless in the previous Ranger. So when they changed it, I thought that it was going to be really useful, but let me tell you about it. The hide in plain sight, if you don't remember which no like problem, like no one fucking ever used this. You could spend a minute near naturally occurring material to disguise yourself, and you'd gain a +10 to stealth as long as you did not move or take action, which means, yeah, like when would you ever use that? Naturally occurring material, you're just gonna wait there until someone walks by? And also, let's say you got an ambush and you need to hide now. Well, you know, you're not gonna have a minute to fucking prepare. This never came up in play. I've never seen this ability, never seen a player even ask, like, oh, is this ability possible? They kind of read it and just said, yeah, this is fucking useless. Who the fuck would use this? I've said fuck 4 times, 5. I need to stop cussing during these videos or I'll get demonetized or age restricted or both. Fuck, I don't even get paid for this shit. But the new feature that he replaced with, that I should say, is the Nature's Veil. You can become invisible using a spell slot until the end of your next turn. So you're invisible for 6 seconds until the end of your next turn. Yeah, that's it. It's a weaker invisibility spell that uses a spell slot. Yeah, I don't know either. My brain, I feel like I'm reading this wrong for the Ranger, but maybe I'm not. Either way, let's just move on to the new 15th level feature. Yeah, you heard me, new. 15th is Pharaoh Senses, which for the Ranger lovers out there like me, who actually loves the Ranger class, is an 18th level ability, or used to be. But that's because we have a new level 18 feature, which I'm sure you will absolutely love as a Ranger for those Ranger lovers. But first, that's because there's a new level 18 feature, and I'm sure Rangers will love it. But first, let's go back to the Pharaoh Senses. It now gives you 30 feet of blind sight, which was, the blind sight was updated in, I think, the last UA, or maybe even this one, I kind of forget. Basically, it counters invisible enemies now. But Pharaoh Senses now gives you 30 feet of blind sight, which updated from the last UA, just counters invisible enemies. It still does the same thing, kinda, just it labels it as blind sight, so it really is no change. You just get at level 15 now. And now for the new level 18 feature, which when I first read this, I just thought, wow, they're giving that to the Ranger. In the last major chain, this increases the Hunter's spell damage from a whopping 1d6 into a 1d10. Yep, you heard me. A whole average of +2 damage to that spell. Level 18 feature, let's go, baby. It's such a... They could have done 2d6, which would have been better for critting. They could have done anything other than just increase the die. Why not just increase the number of dice? That would have been better. It would give it a +3 to damage. Well, +4 if you count average damage. +4, and it would be better on crits, which Rangers are like kind of crit fishers in a way. Not the best, but if they do get a crit, they usually get a lot of dice to add on top of that. Anyway, that's it for the Rangers. I could give my 2 cents of what I think of the new Rangers, but the UA gives so little of the other classes. There is the Barden Rogue that was released, and I do want to take a look at those in a separate video because I have a whole thing on fucking Bards right now of what the fuck are they doing with Bards. And the Rogue, I do like the changes, but I only like them if the same thing applies to the Rogue as it seems to do to the Ranger, but not the Bard, which is just flat out maybe slowing down on the crazy abilities and like things you can do in those classes, like limiting them but making them more unique. The Ranger completely fails in one category, which is making it unique, but you're severely limiting them in what they can do. Rogues, while they're extremely unique, they took away one feature from their... They didn't take away a feature, my bad. They took away a reaction sneak attack damage, which just nerfs the damage of the class, which is, I think, an okay thing to do. But only if, like I said, every other class is getting a nerf on the potential damage they can do. Like, it seems the Ranger is getting that as well, but it was already kind of shitty to begin with, so it's just a hard thing to look at and think that Wizards of the Coast knows what they're doing. I am worried for the future of the Ranger class. Mostly because I do not know what the other classes are going to look like. It could make everything average out if they changed them, just tweaked them a little bit, died down the dial. Or if they're buffing other classes, I think the Ranger will be left behind completely because it's already a weak class in terms of like pure damage output, especially, which keep in mind, they got rid of the sharpshooters +10 to damage, which Rangers really excelled at because of their archery it's just sad to see what's happening. As again, I think my last video that I released was communications from Wizards, and they could have just communicate with us that what they're planning to do with class is more of a nerf, but I think they're worried about the public backlash if they were to give an all-encompassing statement. But the fact that their dishonesty and their very what's the word am I looking for? Mysterious way of trying to keep quiet is really hurting and dividing the community, and I don't like that. I think the community could stay strong if Wizards would just communicate better with us. Like, this isn't a normal video game where you have to keep so quiet on things. I think most studios who are public about what they're doing usually end out pretty well. Sorry I've been talking, so I just realized this video is supposed to be at the Rangers class, not the whole debate on what direction D&D should go in, and it really should just be more public. I think everyone can agree with that they should tell us where do they want to go with D&D, more role-playing, more combat, anything like that. Either way, this is probably going to be cut out of the video, but I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.